Right, well here we are again on another Friday night. I'm at work in the morning till 1 o'clock, so I'm just trying to get ahead of myself tonight because I'm missing like 6 hours in the morning. So last weekend we got this shed moved, but we didn't get it completed. We just done some temporary fixes on it just to keep the chickens safe on that night. So during last week, I managed to get the window cut out, which was all the way over here, a new door put in, and I've separated inside. So just show you inside where we're up to at the minute. So this is where our Rhode Island Reds are going to go. I've just put this temporary, everything's a bit temporary at the minute, just this temporary nest box in for the minute, which was the old chickens when the shed was down the bottom. So I've just put a couple of perches for them there. They'll pretty much stay where they are. And this is just a little one because they are like big breed, so just to help them get up. And I will replace that nest box. But basically this is going to be our Rhode Island Reds home for good, or for the foreseeable. And next door... Nobody in yet. So this is where we're going to put our chicks, and they're going to grow up to a decent size, and then we'll keep whatever hens we want to keep. We'll sell whatever we want to sell. The remainder of them, what are going to be our meat birds, they will stay in here until they're ready to process. So I'm just going to put some sort of meshing or some sort of netting down here and net them a bit off down to the paddock, and the Rhode Island Reds can have the rest. So that's just going to be floor. All I've done is put a wall in with pallets, if you want to come round. We know we love our pallets around here. So I've just cut some pallets down to the roof height and screwed them in with a beam in the middle, and that's absolutely perfect. I might have to put a little bit of mesh across the bottom ones if the chicks are too small, I might get through, but that's nothing. So this will be where the chicks and our meat birds are going to go. So now I'm just trying to get ahead of myself, so I'm just going to show you what we're doing around the corner. Right, so all I'm trying to get to tonight to give me a head start in the morning, I called on the way home, picked up a couple of bags of postcrete. I'm just going to try and put these fences in here. I mean, this one's not adequate now because the chickens will just jump over. So we've got some 4-foot pallets around the corner there. So I've just cut a section off one of them for this side, and the other section, same height, is going to go over this side, so it'll stand about that high, which will leave about a 4-foot gate in the middle, which is ideal to get the lawnmower through. I've measured it all up, so all I need to do is concrete that post in, rip that fence out, maybe dig a bit of the ground out to get the other one the same height as that, put that fence in, concrete the post in there, and that's it for tonight. Let them set. So maybe it's an hour and I'll be done for the night.
Now, I did say on last week's video that we were going to be taking out the fence that runs along the side of the shed there that goes into the area behind Stephen, so that the ducks could then get into the paddock. Now, we're going to change our mind there because that's going to allow the chickens obviously to get straight into where the ducks are now, and then I'll be off and away into the veg plot and over that fence there, and it defeats the whole point of what Stephen's trying to achieve here. And at the moment, the duck hatch is here just behind me, and that's how the ducks go down this ramp. They go up that ramp on a night, get into there, and that's inside the barn for them where they sleep. We put the hatch down on a night and that secures them. But the chickens are also at the moment using this pallet here, which is a lot smaller, to jump over, and they're sneakily going into that hatch there too and getting into the barn and getting into the veg plot that way. So Stephen has decided that he's also going to make these pallets here a little bit higher. I'm not sure how he's going to do that just yet, but that is on the agenda too, because the chickens are really sneaky. Perfect timing. The ducks have just walked through. There's a little slot behind there that they're using at the moment, and it's a shame because they do enjoy coming into this paddock now. But what we need to make sure is not so much that the ducks aren't in here, it's that the chickens can't get into the area where the ducks are. So the ducks for now are going to be confined into there, but we'll come up with a plan B to figure something else out for them. Now, this is a real test because you may or may not have noticed we've got our new microphones on. We remembered to attach them, and it's super, super windy today, as Stephen said, and with him drilling in the background, if you can't hear me, then the microphones are going back.
Right, well that's it. We're done for tonight. I've got done what I wanted to get done, but... Right, well that's it for tonight. We've got done what I wanted to get done. So I've got these 2 posts in square and level with the fences. I've got 2 of these pallets left. So what I think I'm going to do is replace that fence that's over there, because it was just shot up just to see if it worked for the ducks, and it works fine. So I'll get around to replacing that, and then it'll be either the same height or a little bit higher than that one, which will stop the chickens getting over that. These chickens, these Rhode Island Reds, they're a pretty big breed, so they're not very keen on flapping high and jumping over high fences. I mean, they don't even go through the little fence that we've got over there. They're quite happy to stay contained as long as they've got plenty of grass and plenty of stuff to do. So once I get this fence on and a gate made, they'll be quite content in here, I'm sure. Well, that's it for tonight. I'll continue with it tomorrow, weather permitting, when I get home from work, and then we'll see where we get to then. Right, just a quick shed and fence update. This is as far as I've got. So I've just finished painting it, that's why I'm covered. But I've ordered some chicken wire, and that'll be here midweek, so that'll be a job for next weekend. So hopefully by next weekend the chicks fencing will be up, it'll all be secured, and they'll be out of the garage and in here. They're off heat now, so it'll just give them a bit of time to acclimatise in the garage, and then we'll bring them out here. Fence wise, I've just used them 4-foot pallets that I had, and I've just redone the ducks fence across there because that was looking a bit tired, and the ramp, I've put them a new ramp on there because that was feeling a bit rickety. I've put this up here, and these will be getting cut to whatever height we want, and then when I get some timber, because believe it or not I've run out of timber, I'll make a gate for here, and then that'll keep the Rhode Island Reds in here. We're not so bothered about mixing with the ducks at the minute, but we can't do anything about it really because we've got nothing to block them off with. So by the time I make a gate, hopefully next weekend, all this area will be done. Right, now we're going to give Tracy a hand getting the strawberries and the raspberries. Well, I'm pleased to say one thing in the garden that's doing really well is the fruit this year up to now. We picked a big bowl of raspberries, they went straight in the freezer in 2 bags, and we also picked a load of our first batch of strawberries. There's still a load out there to ripen and to pick, but this is our first batch. We got about 7 kilos out of the first batch. So one thing I wanted to make out of it is strawberry flavoured vodka, obviously, and gin. So tonight I'm going to make the vodka. Tracy's already got some of these in the dehydrating. With the rest of this batch, she's going to make jam and strawberry powder. So I'll leave her tell you a bit about that, but I'm going to get on with making the vodka, which is totally simple. It's just 1 litre of vodka, 1 kilo of strawberries, and 100 grams of sugar. We just use normal granulated sugar. So first of all, to get prepared, I just need to cut the strawberries in half. So I'll get on with that, and then we'll put it all in together. Right, we've got all the strawberries cut in half. Now there's a few ways you can do this, and people are a bit fussy on how to do it. You can either put all the strawberries in with the sugar and leave it for a few days till it all goes to like a syrup, and then add the vodka. We just put the strawberries in, then the sugar and the vodka all together, and every other day or every day just keep giving it a shake till all the sugar's dissolved. Now Tracy seems to think we've added more sugar than this in the past, but I always thought it was a kilo, a litre and 100 grams, so 111. So all we'll do is we'll put in this, after about 4 or 5 days we'll try it. If it's not sweet enough, we'll just add some more sugar and then just let that dissolve, and then it'll sit in this jar for about, I don't know, a fortnight or so, and then we'll just decant it into the bottles that we want it, keep it on the shelf. Just get the putting all these in, see if I can get them all in without spilling any. This is a 4 litre jar. You don't need a jar as big as this. I just couldn't find a smaller one, but I think you need big. Well, no, I mean a smaller one. That'll fit it all in your Doyle, not that small. But I think a 2 litre one will be a bit too small, because once you've got your kilo of strawberries plus your sugar, so I think a 3 litre one might be just enough. So then just pour your sugar in. And then the most important part, so all we do now is shut the lid, and you can see all the sugar on the bottom there. So all I do is just give it a gentle swill around, and the reason I cut the strawberries in half just lets more of that flavour out, and it lets the strawberries as well soak up the vodka. So after it's all done, you can keep the strawberries and just add them to your likes of your ice cream or your cream or whatever you want, and you've got a nice alcoholic strawberry to eat. So that's that. We'll just leave that for the next fortnight or so, and job's done.
Now Stephen has taken his strawberries for his vodka, or our vodka, I can't wait to taste that. This is what I need to make the jam. So I've put aside 3 pounds 8 ounces, which from my old-fashioned jam book that I go by for all of my recipes or preserving recipes like this. It's my go-to, one of those old-fashioned books that if it's not in there, then I'll start looking at all my other ones. But anyway, that's what I need for the strawberry jam. So I'm going to leave those to one side, and anything that I've got left over, what I'm going to do is just create, like I do with the rhubarb, stew it down, add a little bit more water to the strawberries, and then I'm going to drain it, create a sweetened syrup with it, and whatever the pulp is left, I'm going to dry in the dehydrator, that pulp. And the reason I'm saying I'm sweetening it before is so that the pulp's a little bit sweet as well. These strawberries are nice and sweet, but they're not as sweet as we've had in previous years, or at least not all of them are. So I'm going to create a powder from the dried pulp. After it's been in the dehydrator, I'll just blitz it down in the blender and create a powder that we can add into smoothies, cakes, all of those usual. So I'm really looking forward to that because we've never done that before. I'm going to put these back in the fridge until I get to the jam, and I'm going to get that pan on so that it can stew those strawberries. So these are what's left from our first picking after I've taken the ones that I need out for the jam. Now there's a little bit of water in there. I've just washed these guys, and I'm not worried about the water because I'm going to be adding a little bit to wash them down. I'm not going to go in and start cutting these down like Stephen has. I simply don't have the patience that he's got, but I will mash them with like a potato masher or something like that just to get them going, and it'll literally, strawberries will take no time at all. They're such a soft fruit, they shouldn't take long at all to get into kind of a more stewed consistency. And then once they're ready, I'll hang them up in a little bag that I've got that strains through, and we'll leave them overnight. Now, one thing I will not be making the mistake of again, them in our storeroom in any kind of heat. We don't have that this week, thankfully, because the rhubarb wine that we started was fine on day 1, fine on day 2. You guessed it, on day 3 it had started to mould, so I've had to throw that away. I'm devastated. I'm obviously going to get another batch on the go, but the heat that we had when we had that heat wave made that back storeroom unbearably hot for anything that was living in there, essentially, that wasn't in the fridge. So I think what we'll do is put them in the pantry. I'll put the bucket in the pantry in the house, even if we don't have the hot weather out here, just to avoid anything like that happening again. Anyway, if I leave it overnight only, it'll obviously be nice and cool overnight for the strawberry dripping through the bag, and then I'll make sure that in the morning I get that contents of that put back in the fridge until I can see to it again on the night after work.
Well, it's only Tuesday. I've just got back home from work, and this chicken wire has just already turned up. So we haven't got this weekend's video edited yet, so I might as well get this done and get it on the video, and then it'll all tie in. So we looked at some proper chicken netting, like electric netting. I don't even think it was electrified online. It was really expensive. So what I did, I ordered this 1 metre 20 high, 25 metre long ordinary chicken wire, and it was a quarter of the price. Obviously you didn't get no posts with it, so I've just knocked up these 1.5 inch posts that I'm just going to space out about, I don't know, whatever I feel like spacing out, a few metres apart, and I'm just going to tie wrap the chicken wire onto that. It's only to keep chicks in, so it should be fine. And for the gate, these are a couple of mesh panels that we just had lying about, so I've just screwed one with a couple of hinges onto the shed there, and that'll just open, and we'll just tie it over this with something, I don't know, tie her up there, and then it'll just hook over that post. So I'm just going to get these posts in, measured out 25 metres, going up to that perimeter fence there, and then we'll get the mesh rolled out, tied on, and hopefully get the chicks out. Right, well that's it, we've got it up, didn't take long. It's not pretty, but hopefully it'll be effective. So it was a bit flimsy in certain places, so we've got some electric fence posts that we had in the barn. We've just propped it and pushed the mesh out a bit in places there where it wasn't quite tight enough. I don't know why it didn't get tight, it's all the same length, but anyway, that's that. So it goes down to where that cockerel is, just down there, and then over to the fence there. So it's a big enough place to get the chickens up to size so we can figure out what sex they are. Some we can sex at birth, others we can't, so then we'll put them in the designated places. So I'm just going to tidy the shed up, fill it with straw. Oh, actually, I might have to mesh the bottom of that pallet there, as they might get through. So I'll do that first, and then we'll gather the chicks up and we'll get them in.
Well, here we are a few days later, and it feels as though we have fast forwarded to winter. It has got a lot chillier than when we were last doing those couple of videos, picking the strawberries and getting the chicks set up. But I wanted to close the video out with showing you how the chicks are getting on before we start it all again this weekend. So as you can see, it's working fantastically at keeping everybody where they're supposed to be. We are right in the middle of cleaning things out here, so Grace has been working hard, getting some jobs done today, giving everybody fresh water, fresh straw. All of the eggs have been collected. She's got all of her water buckets hanging about because she's bang smack in the middle of getting these guys tidied up. Now, the Rhode Island Reds, which I call proper farm birds, are quite happy staying where they're staying on this side of the fence, leaving the ducks alone and just enjoying the paddock that we've got out here. I mean, who wouldn't be? The chicks have worked fantastically, or should I say the fence has worked fantastically at keeping these chicks in. They are growing by the minute. The speed of them, they look like mini velociraptors, but they're doing fantastically as well and really thriving amongst all of the area and the shrubbery that they've got here. The side of the shed that's theirs is this side, as Stephen mentioned. There's a couple of little perches in there now. And then on this side, we'll just walk around these birds. Rhode Island Reds are doing really well in there. There's actually a couple of eggs that have started laying again. Everybody seems to have settled in. And the ducks have always been in the area behind the shed here. Stephen has obviously got that gate on since the last bit of the video too. He knocked that up from some spare wood, even though he said he had none. He found some. I'd be very surprised if that man ever runs out of timber. So this coming weekend, obviously all of this area here still needs tidying up. This fence is the new one that he's put on, which is obviously higher than the previous one as well, and we want to figure out something to do to either hide these IBC tanks or move them. We're not too sure just yet. So a few things still left to do in terms of tidy up, but that's worked out fantastically, and another really positive point for the small holding. Now this weekend coming, we're actually going to record a small holding tour and show you all of the changes that we've made in just one video. So if you're interested in that, then please do come back and take a look at that. But in the meantime, I think there's a jam video coming up if you're interested in homemade strawberry jam. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and we will talk to you very soon.